helpful, just an ongoing, it's going to be an ongoing need to have spaces where people can come together. And I think learning is going to, again, continue to be this blend because we are human. And we do like human connection. So as the technology gets better, it changes the way we're thinking. But the library continues to be this morphing space to help people learn. So again, I think learning is another area where libraries are really imperative in our communities. And how we're thinking about learning opportunities and how we're offering those opportunities. How can we integrate technology? How can we also integrate that human element? And how can we also meet the expectations of people who are learning in multiple learning styles? When I think about communities, I think we're about connecting communities for sure. And I think what's amazing is how many spaces do we have that people can be alone but together? And you probably say, well, a coffee shop would be one. Definitely Starbucks. There are lots of people who will go to Starbucks just to be with people, but not really be with people, be around other human beings. And in this case, this is a library that has a place where they have all their newspapers and people can stand together and read the newspapers with each other, but they're not really having a conversation about it. They're alone, but they're together. And I think that that's one of the roles that libraries play, is creating those connections for people. There are also places where opportunities arise for communities to build in different ways. This is actually the South Michomis Library, also in Sacramento, where they did a project for kids, for teenagers. They wanted them to create their story. So what is it like to grow up in South Michomis, California, in 2012 at the time? And so we can preserve that. So kids who grow up in 2020, 2030, 2040 can look back and say, what was it like? What was South Michomis like? And so they had a small group of teens who actually did interviews with other people, and they created these presentations, digital, and they captured stories of the community. And they did a presentation. This is a picture of the day they presented their project. And it was amazing to listen to these folks talk about their experiences. And one person, I was almost in tears, she got up and she said, I didn't really care about my community before. And now that I've spent time really getting to know it, I really care about it and I want to make a difference. So with the opportunities for connecting, again, this is a library that's created an opportunity to connect people to their community in a way they hadn't been connected before. And again, connecting people, but also using the technology to capture the story. And then here in Pennsylvania, we've had librarians who have been able to leverage technology, but also creating opportunities for people to be together. And Brian Dawson, who was the director of the Oil City Library, and I grabbed him, and he's now the library development director here at the State Library. Before he came here, he put in for a request to be a TEDx site and at his library to draw people in his community together to talk about innovation and talk about role development and to talk about their community, and had several talkers and several speakers come and talk about the community and why it's important and how to think about innovation. The mayor showed up. There was a local state senator who came. They filled up the capacity of their room to have people sit in, and it was a mixture of the talks and then also some talks that were selected by the director that related to the community of Oil City. So again, libraries being a neutral zone where people can talk about their communities and also problem solve. So there's the need for libraries and the skills to really think about how do you facilitate and work with people to think about the community. And when you look at, this is a map of all the things that libraries do, and it's a little blurry, and I apologize for that. When I was in California, we were trying to create something that would help tell the story of all the things that libraries do today, but they still relate to the common things that we've been doing for a long time. And it's always a challenge when you're telling a new story for people to make a bridge from where they understand the story to begin. And so this was our attempt to make a bridge between where people thought libraries, what was the role of libraries, to what libraries are doing today, but it's just a change in the way that we're doing things. So about collecting and preserving and connecting and creating and convening people. And so this map, which is available, if you just do a search of California Public Libraries map, and State Library, you'll find it. It's free to download, and there's also some other really good pieces in there to look at. But it really is about how libraries are bringing people together. They're bringing things together for people to share, and they're creating spaces for people to be creators, to connect with one another, and to be successful. So, and I think, again, as we are looking at our collective stories, our learning, our communities, libraries are continuing to transform and use technologies that help us connect in ways that we're getting used to because the technologies are around us. It'll take us a little bit longer, but we continue to do that. And I'm sure many of you are already playing with iBeacon, but the Orange County Library System in Florida has started to use iBeacon around the library, and so people can download an app, and once they download the app, if they're in it, so if they're searching in the fiction section and there are among books that are about, are by Jane Austen, and the library is having a program about Jane Austen or a one-book read of a Jane Austen book, what you'll get is pinged, and your phone will let you know that there's going to be a program. So they're using the technology to connect people to other resources outside of just physical book that's on the shelf. I know that there are also libraries that are using QR codes, who are thinking about how do we connect physical and the virtual. So if somebody is walking through the stack, why not have a dummy book that actually has a QR code that takes you to the ebook if you can't get the physical book. So I think over time, the physical books aren't disappearing right away. The challenge for us is to think about how we're helping people navigate between multiple formats and doing it in a way that makes it less complicated and user-friendly. So as we think about the future of information, we also have to think about design, and I'm sure many of you are really thinking about that. How do we create the human person design element that helps people navigate all the resources that are available to them. And when it really comes down to, again, though, I really think that libraries are about human connection. And the 14th Dalai Lama had this quote, which I think is true, that we're social beings, that we come into the world because of others, and that we survive here with dependence on others. And whether or not we like it, it's hardly a moment in our lives when we do not benefit from other activities. So for this reason, it's hardly surprising that most of our happiness arises in the context of our relationships with others. And I think that has been in many communities, the role of libraries is becoming increasingly important in a time when we're trying to navigate all the different technologies, all the different mediums of communication, that libraries, again, are about human connection. And so that's what I've been thinking about, and I would love to hear what you're thinking about.
Stacey, thank you so much. Can you still hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm going to turn it over to the floor and for questions, and I'll let them ask questions. And if you can't hear, just say so, and I'll try to repeat because I'm closer to the microphone.
Okay, great.
Folks, any questions? Well, Stacey, I've got one for you. I'll get the conversation started here. I'm curious, state libraries, we have a new governor, and I'm curious how is with your background in libraries and obviously working with people and have a focus on human connection, how do you find that navigating some of the political challenges about being both a service that faces the public but also accountable to a political entity?
Well, it definitely is a challenge because you have to navigate multiple mental models about what libraries are and the role that libraries play. in their communities. And we have a lot of people who still have a very old model of libraries, so they're just books. And so it's a lot of navigating telling the story and finding ways to help people see where they fit into the new story and how libraries are really vital to their communities. For the most part, most people are very supportive of libraries. The challenge is then taking it to the next level and putting some action behind the words. I have to say in Pennsylvania we're very lucky in terms of the funding that is provided for libraries. About $54 million goes in state aid to libraries here in the state, partially because our local funding is so low. It's very different than other states. That our libraries are not really funded as well at the local level. I think we are lucky. We had a very good governor, very supportive of libraries, and kept our funding level for the past couple of years. We have a new governor that's very supportive of libraries and has been on board with libraries. So haven't had a chance to meet him or his staff yet, but I think he truly does understand the role that libraries play. I think the other challenges are also having other librarians saying the same words. So we all have to pretty much say the same speech. People have to hear the same words that are important for people to understand the value of libraries. And it's public libraries, it's school libraries in particular. We have many school libraries across the state that have been closed or the positions are being eliminated. And when I think about school libraries, of anything that the skill set kids need, they need to be ready to be good cyber citizens, and they need to have basic skills for finding, evaluating, and using information. So it is a challenge, and you have to find your champions, the people who have energy, and you also have to know what it is that you want and what benefit it is to the community. And I find the clearer you can be in your communication about what it is that the issue is and how you're solving that and the role that the libraries play, the easier it is to really get support. Oftentimes, people think, well, you go to the legislature and you just tell them what the problems are, and really what they want are solutions. And so working together, we've worked with the Pennsylvania Library Association very closely and other libraries statewide. We have to work together to come up with those messages and to come up with the solutions and to show the benefit in the community. And that is also another challenge. Not everything shows a direct benefit. We can't necessarily relate the fact that because one student came to a story time every day that's why they were ready for school. There are also other factors. So I think the other challenge for libraries is causality and figuring out how do we actually show the impact that we have in our communities. And working at the national level, the Public Library Association was asked to be on a performance measurement task force, and we're looking at building measures that help libraries tell the stories, the impact that they're having on their communities. So, I don't know, did I answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. So can you speak to kind of some of the newer ideas as far as programs in libraries, both at the local level and at the state level? So I grew up, going to story time, and I loved that. But as I got older, I felt like maybe after my teen years, it was harder for me to relate to going to the library. Are there some ideas that you have for maybe adult life? I know that here in the Carnegie Library System, they've started doing one library a month is open really late. And I think that really helps just for, job searches and creative ideas. But are there kinds of ideas that you can kind of tell me about kind of innovative, newer programs?
In terms of engaging people from like teens on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been really interesting because nationally, a lot, where you see the really interesting programming happening is where people are doing analysis of their communities and they're looking for white spaces. So not every community is going to groove on the same types of services. And so in some communities, maker spaces they go off the charts. In communities where you have people who give a lot of creativity, you have a lot of emphasis within the local community around technology, and I know the buzzword is STEM, which doesn't seem very different than what we were doing in the 50s and 60s, or thinking about going to the moon. Still important, skill building. I think, you know, some of the things that I see that are interesting, they don't seem, they may not seem, they're different. We have libraries that do speed dating kinds of things to bring in people. Some people actually trust the library to be a better place to do speed dating. So creating an opportunity for young people to get together in a place that is fairly safe, to have a conversation and to meet people. There are a lot of libraries that are doing more things with teams around that are more, you know, it's not just like let's get together and have a discussion kind of thing, or let's read. But we have here in Pennsylvania a program with the Humanities Council called the Teen Reading Lounge. And they are focusing on students, and not only do they read books, but they get to be creators, and they're creating their own stories, and they're talking with each other. And the results of these Teen Reading Lounge, and if you do a search, again, Google it, Teen Reading Lounge, and the Pennsylvania Humanities Council, you'll be able to find a video about it. It's really helping to create different levels of support and understanding and confidence in these teams. I've seen all kinds of things around gaming, providing gaming opportunity, which is, again, libraries are looking at how to create spaces for people to come together and do things. One of the things I've really been talking to libraries about, I haven't actually seen anybody do it yet, and it probably has happened, and I'm not aware of it. One trend I think I mentioned when I spoke last year, and I've been watching it for several years, is this whole notion of digital detox, where people don't want to completely get rid of technology, but they really do want to have a break from it. And in a lot of airline magazines, I've seen techies with tiny little editorials about how they are, you know, their families are taking one day and they call it their digital Shabbat. They just don't turn on anything for one evening. There was a Fast Company article with another techie who's just completely unplugged, and it talked about how difficult it was to unplug. How do you turn off Facebook? How do you turn off all these communication channels without people thinking you've dropped off the face of the earth? And I think that and I was also at I go to this concert every year called Outside Lands Festival in San Francisco, and I love going to it because you can see all kinds of ways that people are interacting with all kinds of age groups with technology, and what kinds of things are they having at this festival. And for the past 2 years, they've had a digital detox zone, and in that zone in the park, you're not allowed to use your cell phone, you're not allowed to use any technology. In fact, before you go into it, you have to take a little oath. Something to be effective. If I feel like I need to take a picture of something, I will draw a picture of it. I will look at people in the eye and have a conversation with them. So it was fascinating. They had all kinds of and after you do the oath, they give you a stamp that's like a plug that says digital detox on your arm. But it was amazing to see how many people were sitting around with old typewriters. I mean, the old kind of really quickie, the ones that make that wonderful noise, who were sitting down and typing on fun paper, ideas and thoughts. But you couldn't find a free typewriter. It was amazing. And they had a lot of them. They also had places where people were making pet rocks and playing drums, and it was packed. I mean, there were large groups of people going into these digital detox zones. So I think about libraries and the role that they can play in having a digital detox night. What would that look like in a community, and is that something that the community would want to have? I think it's really libraries knowing who their community is and where are there opportunities that can support the community in new ways that engage people. And again, it's going to be different in different parts of the country, and even different parts of the state, what really ignites people's interest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any other questions. Stacey, do you have any other thoughts, comments? I know you had come in last year and made a visit out to Pitt, and you actually had a great presentation. You talked about some of the wearable tech. I guess the one question that I have been thinking about for the past couple of months, because I knew you were coming in, was what are the things that are exciting you in